He was supposed to be the mouse messiah, kick out Bob Chapek, show that he was the pixie dust pariah, but things have not gone as planned. Now, the media is proclaiming that Bob Iger is exhausted. He is overwhelmed. He can't handle how badly Disney is going. And the goings at Disney are largely just because of Bob Iger. Don't let them fool you folks with the mainstream media articles that try to pin this on someone who served as CEO for a very small window of time versus the king of Disney himself, the king of charisma, Bob Iger. However, we are here to tell you that there is a secret reason that Bob Iger is likely overwhelmed and struggling to get this company on the right track. We're ready to bring it to you today, folks. We've got a toy story. There's only one problem. It doesn't have many toys for Disney. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. As always, it's a joy when you join us. Thank you for inviting us onto your screens, into your devices, and sharing your time. We're happy to be here, and we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. Helping us do so today is Tommy Tables. Tommy, welcome back.
Hello. How are you, Pro?
I'm doing wonderful, Tommy. Unless we make the audience wait any longer, let's dive into the very first article as we, I guess, shine a light on something brand new that's happening at Disney that I don't think anyone else has covered thus far. But we'll set the table by the New York Post. This by Ariel Zilber. Disney CEO Bob Iger overwhelmed and exhausted during company slump. Folks, you may have already heard about this on the channel. We're going to skim through this very quickly so we can get to what's really behind, perhaps, the panic at the House of Mouse. Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger has reportedly been left overwhelmed and exhausted by the challenge of riding the ship to the Mouse House, whose tanking stock prices spurred activist investor Nelson Peltz to further boost his stake in the firm. Also note that Nelson Peltz, when he started Proxy War 2.0, it appears, well, the stock went up, which really shows you how the market views Iger versus his arch nemesis. We started to say enemy, but maybe that's too harsh. People in Iger's inner circle told Bloomberg News that the CEO, who recently returned to helm the company with great fanfare after the disastrous tenure. I take umbrage with that. I don't think it was disastrous at all. I don't know how you can have a disastrous tenure and also have presided over the most lucrative era ever for a company. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, after the disastrous tenure of his handpicked successor, Bob Chapek has often joked to confidants, "Why did I come back?" Ha! 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 Tommy, it's such a funny joke. Oh, wait, it's not that funny. Peltz, who called off his proxy fight with Disney in February after Iger committed to a $5.5 billion cost-cutting spree, as well as, I'm going to insert this into the article since it's not there, every other thing that Peltz demanded, except for transparency with China, Peltz is back. That's basically what the article is going to say. Peltz is back. Iger is frustrated. Yada, yada, yada. You get the idea, okay? Tommy, this so far has been all about, though, that it's because the box office is down. It's because attendance at the parks is down. It's because the stock is down. But that's not all that is down. So, Tommy, any thoughts on where this might go in terms of what is about to be very down?
Well, I mean, my question is, how can you be overwhelmed and exhausted when you never really left in the first place? But I guess that's neither here nor there. I think there is certainly another component to this that we're itching to talk about, and that has to deal with merchandise.
That's right. The merch, baby. The Mouse's merch is not where it is or where it should be. So, Tommy, let me tell you what happened, and I'll tell the crowd out there, too. And, folks, we're going to enter into somewhat speculation and rumor territory, but also this appears to be corroborated. So I don't really know how to classify this other than I'm just going to be extra cautious and put the disclaimer on it that says rumor and speculation, take with a grain of salt. You get the idea. But we're going to look at some articles here. So I was sent some information from a source who said, if you want to see why Iger is so stressed and why the company is in a stressful position, I'm going to send you two articles and you read them and you'll understand. And then they sent some other stuff. And I told you, Tommy, before we started recording that the other stuff they sent is outside of my area of expertise. Mm-hmm. And I think we can corroborate it, but we're not ready to talk about it in this video because I'm hesitant to talk about something that I don't know enough about, lest I come across as being very foolish, because somebody up there is going to watch the video and know way more than I know about it. And They're going to point out when we're wrong. But the area that we're going to talk about, I think we know quite a bit about. That's why I brought you on, because you also have a level of expertise in this. We're going to start off with an article out of Today, today.com, and holiday shopping is kicking off. And these are the hottest toys you'll want to grab. Now, this is going to be a very interesting article because this comes from someone who knows quite a bit about toys. They know quite a bit about Disney, and they say that this is indicator number one of why Disney is sweating it. Not sweating it to the oldies, but sweating it to not having toys on the list. This came out July 31st of this year by Emma Stessman and Bella Druckman. It says, just because crisp fall days, pumpkin spice lattes, and Halloween costumes are at the top of everyone's minds right now doesn't mean that it's too early to start thinking about the holiday season.
Oh, no.
And it's going to go on to list out the top 2023 toys, what they expect to be the highest selling toys of the holiday season. So Tom, let's take a look at these, and you tell me if you're surprised by any. We've got Barbie the movie collectible dolls. No shock there. Barbie the movie Ken doll. No shock. Barbie Dream House. Starting to see a pattern here. Barbie Fashionistas doll. Okay. Hot Wheels RC Barbie Corvette. Make It Real Mini Pottery Studio. Crazy Art, the real cotton candy maker. Biz T Interactive Toy Digital Pet and Case. We've got Buffalo Games Pop It Go Game. Perfectly Cute Target Toy Shopping Cart. I got a feeling Target's promoting that one on their own.
Yeah.
Little Live Pets, My Puppy's Home Dalmatian Edition. Tony's Paw Patrol Sky Headphones Bundle Starter Set. Now we're moving to Kohl's. Skyrocket Magic Whispers Luna. LOL Surprise Magic Flyers. Barbie again, 28-inch Best Fashion Friend Star Power Doll. Finally, Tommy, we get down here and we see Disney's Mickey Mouse EIO singing and dancing plush. Maybe this is Disney's Mickey Mouse uh-oh singing and dancing plush. But let's finish out some of this list. We've got Melissa and Doug Stack's Sword and Pound Wooden Toy Collection. For Macy's, we've got Sharper Image 2-player toy laser tag set, dog interactive robot dog, Hot Wheels. We've got Spider-Man. Okay, so Disney owns that one. That's good. Spider-Man's there. We've got Air Hogs Zero Gravity, Coco Melon, Tamagotchi Uni, Sesame Street Elmo Slide Plush. From Amazon, we've got Baby Alive, Squishmallows, Leapfrog, Clue Conspiracy, Educational Insights. From Walmart, we've got Nerf Elite, Paw Patrol, Magic Mixies, Furby Coral Plush Toy, Melissa and Doug Super Smile Dentist Kit, and that is the list. Those are the ones that are expected to be the most popular toy items of 2023. Tom, you notice a particular company that usually rides high on the merchandising list doesn't really show up very often there, right?
Yeah, that's very surprising, actually. And the other thing that I find surprising too is the fact that, I mean, at least at the start of the list, it felt like, do boys even play with toys anymore?
Dominating, right? That's what you could say about Barbie, is it's just dominating.
Yeah.
And you know what's not on there at all? There is no Marvels. There's no Miss Marvel.
Nope.
There's no Ahsoka. There is nothing in terms of what Disney has been attempting with the female toys in the male-dominated previous franchises. There's none of that actually makes an appearance. There's also, Tommy, no Baby Yoda. There's no Mandalorian. And guess what? There are no Disney princesses even. You don't even see Frozen, Moana, Tangled, nothing. So the content, what would you say here? The lack of content that has excited audiences seems now finally to be resonating at the merchandise level. And that truly is the nightmare scenario for Disney.
Now, is it the lack of content per se, or the reputational damage that Disney has done that has basically caused so many parents, I suppose, to switch off or turn off?
I think it's both. That's a great question, but I think it's both. Are we supposed to get excited about Ant-Man and Quantumania? Are we supposed to get excited about the Marvels? Are we supposed to get excited about Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, where they were putting out, feathery whips for little boys that look more like ribbon dancers because they're terrified that, kids will get injured with a whip that has any kind of texture to it? Disney has eliminated their ability to create content for kids, but the content that they do create, a la Strange World, a la Lightyear, and more, it's not resonating, and it is actually damaging the brand overall. And Tommy, less people say out there, oh, well, that's just one article. That's just, someone's opinion. Okay, how about Amazon? I think Amazon sells some toys, don't you, Tommy?
Just a little bit. I see.
Just a little bit. And who's it written by? Oh, Amazon staff. Amazon reveals the 2023 Toys We Love list, including 200 toys from brands like Lego, Mattel, Magna-Tiles, and Disney. And so you look at things, okay, good Disney. Disney, you're doing well. Let's take a look at this list here, Tommy. Here's what Amazon thinks will sell this holiday season. And again, folks, I think Amazon's got a good idea on this. 2023 Holiday Fox 12-inch plush. We've got a Origin Bees, Barbie Science Lab playsets, Transformers, Rise of the Beast, Beast Mode Bumblebee, Bluey convertible in figures. And by the way, folks, Bluey remains phenomenally popular, and Disney does not make money off of Bluey other than, I guess, it drives subscribers to Disney Plus because it's an acquired property there. But in terms of merchandise, in terms of any kind of availability in the parks, Disney doesn't own Bluey. Yep. Gabby's Dollhouse cruise ship, not a Disney thing. Sesame Street Monster Meditation Elmo, that's a little creepy. Wingspan, Pokemon. We've got a Forensic Investigation Kit, Tech Deck Skate Park, 5 surprise mini brands, limited edition, Disney Advent Calendar. Oh boy, that's a good one. Okay, so we've got a Disney thing on the board. Disney Advent Calendar. Fisher Price, Little People, Mickey and Friends playlist. Yes, I know, I'm laughing about it too, Tommy. It's a little ironic. MGA Entertainment Miniverse. Okay, here's another one. Lego Star Wars.
There you go.
And this is what's so funny to me. 3/32 Ahsoka's Clone Trooper Battle Pack. So we've got an Ahsoka toy, Tommy, that doesn't feature Ahsoka in any way.
I was just about to say that.
It's just little stormtroopers, and that's it. It's Lego stormtroopers. You get what is that? Five little stormtroopers, 4 little stormtroopers.
Yeah, I think there's 4 in there, and they're the ones with the special branding on their helmet that denotes that they're part of Ahsoka's group before they all turned on her and tried to wipe her out. And
yeah, when did that happen, Tommy? Did that happen in the show we just watched?
No, that was in the final season of the Clone Wars.
Oh,
and, it was actually probably one of the last really good things that Disney Star Wars has put out. It was a really great series. And
so wait a minute, Tommy. Tommy, are you telling me that this box, which I don't even see Ahsoka on it, but it has Ahsoka's name in the title, no Ahsoka on the box, and it looks just like 4 stormtroopers, that it has nothing to do with the Ahsoka show that we all just watched?
In name only, I would say.
How about that? All right, well, what's next? Special Needs Set, Play-Doh Creativity Starter Station, Dre to the Moon, Little Tyke's First Dishwasher, Latanista's Lola, Little Live Pets, Squishmallows, Beast Lab, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh, we've got a Disney thing. Disney 100 Wonderful World of Color Tinkerbell. Okay, well, interesting. Lego Icons Tranquil Garden, Super Mario Brothers 7-inch Bowser action figure, and that's it. Those are the ones they think are going to be big sellers. Again, Tommy.
The dishwasher? Really?
Kids love dishwashers. Kids love dishwashers, except they hate washing actual real dishes. They just role play forever. But Tommy, no Moana.
Yep.
No Tangled.
Nope.
No Frozen. Nothing like that. So I'm struggling here to figure out what it is that Disney has to look forward to for this merchandising year.
Well, it seems like they have very, very little to, which is wild, and yet not surprising at all. They, again, like going back to what I was saying, they have caused themselves reputational damage. They have gotten through to the quote unquote normie, and it's something that people have started to pay attention to. And I mean, you've also got this issue with an economy that's not doing too well. So why would you want to purchase toys for a company that you don't really trust anymore, especially when you don't have that much money, like free change floating around in your pocket these days? So I think that's one of the reasons. What I also find really fascinating too is the fact that, as you pointed out, there's nothing there on the boys' side. Like there's a Transformers toy, but that's Hasbro. There's no
It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that's not Disney.
That's not Disney. But like, I mean, Marvel. Where's Marvel? Like, where's Captain America? Where's Thor? Where are the Avengers? Like, there's not even like a lightsaber. You know, Luke Skywalker. Even he's not on there. And,
well, you know, it's almost as if, Tommy, if you don't put these things onto new content, that people stop caring about them.
That's wild.
It is amazing. I want to bring in Tommy, another toy expert out there. We've had him on the channel before, but ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in Jesse Bla Snider. And Jesse, what we've been talking about here is that we're taking a look at the hottest toys for the holiday season 2023. I was giving this heads up by somebody inside the toy industry, and they said, hey, Pro, you know all these articles about Bob Iger being exhausted and stressed. Nobody's covering this, but take a look at these articles. We started looking at the hottest toys. Disney is very underrepresented compared to usual. And I'm going to go ahead and throw out a stat, Tommy, that I didn't tell you. And Jesse, I'll hand this over to you and you run with it. But according to the source, Disney this year may actually hit a 12-year low in terms of percentage of the merchandising market that they control. So when you look at overall holiday sales at the end of the year, they may drop to a 12-year low on the type of toy sales that they're accustomed to making. Jesse, you've been on before. We've talked about Star Wars. We've talked about Marvel. I'm not shocked by this because I don't know how they're going to sell Eternals toys. I don't know how they're going to sell Strange World toys. I'm sorry. If Elemental is so popular, why is it not on there? I'm sorry. If Little Mermaid, the live action reboot, was so popular, why is it not on there? We see Bluey. Bluey's in the holiday toys, but nothing Disney. Jesse, are you shocked at all? And what do you know about Disney toys in this this holiday season?
You know, it's so strange. Disney has become this like weird nesting doll that has encapsulated all of these huge brands that we love, and every single one of these things individually were juggernauts. I mean, it's not like they were bought when they were cheap and they weren't working and Disney took them and we turned them into something and now here you go. Disney bought them when they were working and they are no longer working. And for me, the biggest bit of the definition of they're not working always comes down to the toys and the merchandise. And that was very clear right from the get-go with, you know, every one of these properties. You can tell immediately how well something's working looking at the merchandise and how well the merchandise is doing. So seeing just the implosion of Disney, you know, Disney had so many evergreen brands, you know, like Marvel was shaping up to be just evergreen boys brand, and the Disney animated princesses were shaping up to be evergreen girls brand, and they've really lost their heat to the point where I think they've become like, you know, just another toy that's been around and overstayed its welcome. I really fought against this notion of like comic book fatigue, all this stuff, but there's a lot of truth to it, because when it comes down to it, the people like myself who actually read these comic books and are treasuring these stories and trying to, you know, push for these films to be made in the first place, to see them brought to life on the big screen. I mean, we are a real tiny minority. And the way in which this thing swelled in the first place was that they honored the source material. They made the base fans happy. The base fans were very pleased to tell everybody that something wonderful was being done with this thing that we've wanted to share with them for so long. And, you know, a critical mass was built. And we arrived at the Marvel Cinematic Universe of the material being right. DC's never had a DC Cinematic Universe that has been any sort of success. DC's had smatterings of success. But Marvel built something huge, and it's gone. It's gone.
That's great. You know, yeah. And I think that Marvel is definitely looking at the performance of Loki and hoping and praying, perhaps, that Loki gives them an option, because in Loki you've got the three male protagonists, the leads, who are phenomenal: Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson, and Ke-Huy Quan. And then the situation you also have is that the Marvels is the complete opposite, right? That's the intersectional feminism movie that is the MCU epitomized, and it is coming out now. Box office projections, it will be the lowest MCU film of all time, even coming in under the Eternals by 40%. And guess what,
They're
Jesse?
gonna have a lot of egg on their face for that one. But the other side of it, Loki saving the day. Loki's best hope is that it will be just somewhere in the middle.
That's that's exactly right.
It's too convoluted. It's about time and space. It's the type of things that normal people really have a difficult time wrapping their heads around. And people like me will slave over stuff like this, but these are being made for a larger audience and need to hit with the audience. And the way it's being done, I think the way it's reframing Loki, I mean, it's surviving on the strength of Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. They're both very wonderful, talented actors and charming as hell. And I understand why people might like them in anything. But that doesn't actually mean we should be telling these stories, and this is where our focus should be in the narrative of the Marvel Universe. And I really think it's actually hurting them that they're focused so much on something is very convoluted.
Well, you know, for so long, we've all understood that the merchandise is what really represents to you the level of fandom that you have, the passionate, you know, the degree of passion that your consumers feel for your product. And so if you think about Star Wars, for example, Star Wars was 3 original films, but it was a vast empire of toys and merchandise. And then you think about the Ninja Turtles. I think the Ninja Turtles are one of the greatest examples of this as well. The 80s cartoon and then the live action movie, especially the first one, you know, very successful, but nothing compared to the merchandise. And you were talking about kids. You know, every time they went to the store with their parents, getting a new Ninja Turtle toy, they didn't even know who some of these characters were. They'd never seen them before. You can think of some of the ridiculous characters, you know, that were being made into toys, but they had to have the next one. They had to have another Ninja Turtle toy. And when it comes to what we're watching now, Tommy, I want to get your take on this. You know, Disney has been crowing lately about The Little Mermaid and Elemental. And yet we look at this list for hottest toys for the holidays, and there's no short number of toys on the list. And Barbie is on there over and over and over. There is nothing for Elemental. There is nothing for Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid. And if there's no merchandising demand, then I get it why Iger is probably looking at this and freaking out, because if your merchandise dies, then I think that the fans have turned away.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like the thing about, you know, what you said about Loki being looked at very closely and possibly a savior of the Marvel brand, I don't think so. I mean, it was somebody else on another stream who sort of said that Loki so far seems like an episode of The Office set in a fantastical setting. They just sit around and they talk all the time, and no kid wants to see that. Like, no, like, I mean,
Tommy, as you said that, I thought, well, no, actually, we just watched The Office. It was Ahsoka, and Thrawn was Michael Scott. You know, yeah. That's how poorly that villain was played. Continue with your report, though, Tommy. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Thrawn as Michael Scott is perfect.
You raised a really good point, though, about the Ninja Turtles aspect and the idea of shelf presence and something that catches the eye of the kid. A lot of the times, and a lot of toy sales are based around the fact that you're in Walmart, you know, you're pushing your cart through the toy aisle, your kid is there. They see something. They just like something grabs them, like on the package, the design of a toy or whatever it might be. And they're like, I want this. And you're like, well, do you even know what the name of this character is? Like, have you ever heard of this guy before? It's like, no, he just looks cool. And we're not seeing any of that anymore, especially from the Disney products. I don't know, Jesse, what do you think on that?
Well, I think a whole bunch of things. I mean, you know, I agree with you, of course. You know, world building is a big part of the toys and the merchandising game. The reason why Star Wars opened up such a big door was because there was the promise of other people in the galaxy, this wide galaxy that might have these force powers, more Sith Lords and more Jedi and more aliens and more space pods. You know, the promise of more was really built into Star Wars. Now, if you look at the new films and you just kind of break them down in the smallest of ways, what can you see is really clear there? A real reversing of what happened in the trilogy and where things were left off. Like it basically kind of walks all the way back on that thing and redoes the thing. If you go into the extended universe and you go into the novels, you see, I don't know what the character's name is. I think it's like Mara Jade or something like that. It's like Luke Skywalker's wife.
Yep.
You know, this is an extending of the brand. This is, and then what happened to Luke Skywalker? Oh, well, the next part of his story is this, and the next part of this isn't this thing that they did here where like, oh, he's aged out and he hates everybody and like, whoa, no, 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 no. We were taking the lightning that was in the bottle and we were building on it. And that promise, the extended universe had the promise built in. Marvel doesn't realize that they've been backing themselves into corners with so many of these shows. They keep eliminating promise, adding things into the continuity, like let's say that 5-year missing gap of time where all of a sudden my younger brother's my older brother now. Oh my God, life's so weird. That's not from the comics. So nobody cares about that. Nobody wants to be dealing with that. And every time you make a little change like that, you break the promise of the world that has already been created. And when it comes to something like Star Wars and Marvel and whatnot, dude, it's already there. It's already created. Just don't break it. And
well, now, speaking of don't break it, our understanding right now is that over at Marvel, they're getting ready to expedite the X-Men. So when we come out of this Hollywood strike, they want to go as fast as they can towards the X-Men. Guys, X-Men, of course, very merchandisable. What mistakes might Disney make that they should probably avoid?
Oh boy. I mean, just deviating from the source material, I would say. But they won't be able to help themselves. Like I don't trust them. I don't have faith that they won't do that. You know,
they're going to lean hard into whatever they can squeeze out of like what's left over from Fox. Like they're going to lean hard into Hugh Jackman for a second. Yeah, this is going to be a weirdo transition, I guarantee you.
Jesse, we've heard that they want to pair Hugh Jackman with Spider-Man for about 3 films because they know that is the best they've got because they can't introduce the other X-Men easily, but they can team Wolverine up with Spidey, and that's money.
Well, this was the craziness of their freaking shift in the first place. It's like, here's a guaranteed commodity, Iron Man, guaranteed commodity, Captain America, Black Panther. And then they were just like, we don't need that. We're just going to introduce all these new people. Like, what's the #1 rule of business? It takes a lot more energy to get a new customer than it takes the old customer. So, like, they are really just setting themselves up for, like, it's just so funny too, because when it comes to these like race swaps and gender swaps and whatnot, they
the mantle strategy.
Yeah, they play a game of Invasion of the Body Snatchers with their audience, where their audience is like, "Hey, wait a second, that's not the thing I like, but maybe kinda." And so you now position your audience from a position of like, is this the thing I like? Or is this somebody masquerading as the thing I like?
Or is it one of now 10,000 multiverse variants of the thing I like?
Yeah, but like you see that energy, the energy of, wait and see. Like the energy was this, yes. And now it's, why would you do that? Why would you make a change that's literally going to put your audience in sort of a defensive wait and see? Let's see if they can prove to me that this works still. Like Halle Bailey shouldn't have to have an uphill battle to show everybody how and show everybody what a great, Little Mermaid she was. Like that change never should have been made in the first place. She should be demonstrating how awesome she is singing in the Princess and the Frog live action adaptation, not in the friggin' Little Mermaid one. Nobody asked for that change to be made. And now you're just setting this person up at a disadvantage where, like, people come out of that movie going, no, she actually did a really nice job at the part. It was the other things that were a problem. And that's great. Sometimes you can do a really nice job. Sometimes that, somebody really does nail it, and the change, it doesn't matter. But the change is just sort of arbitrary, and it sets your audience off their footing. And instead of being excited, they're apprehensive.
The Little Mermaid situation too is especially egregious in terms of how poorly it was handled. They did a race swap for Cinderella more than a decade ago with Brandy, and nobody cared. And that could have been the same reaction to The Little Mermaid, except that when Disney was asked about the situation, rather than saying, oh, well, she was the best at the part, or she was the best vocalist who came in, Disney made it into a part of their marketing. They entrenched their marketing into the racial issues and thereby elevated this to being a movie that was about race swapping. And then you had people saying, oh, well, if that's what this movie is about, rather than being about the movie that, the character that I love, then I'm out. I'm not participating in this. And I think that's what's happened across so many of the various product lines with Disney. But I'll finish here, guys. I would say about 6 months ago, one of our highest level sources, who is also in the toy industry, shared with us that for Disney, we would know that they were in an absolute crisis if one of two of their toy lines really went struggling. And that was the Disney princesses, because they seem to be invulnerable, right? They're invincible to anything. And then the Fab Five, which is Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald, you get the idea. I don't see, well, there was a Mickey Mouse plushie. There's no Disney princesses on the hottest toys. It's all Barbie. There's not a lot in terms of anything beyond just a Mickey Mouse plushie. So I really think that we've reached the point now where if you're looking for why Iger is concerned, the merchandise is now lining up with what we've seen at the parks in terms of lowered attendance. It's matching up with Disney Plus losing subscribers in North America 3 quarters in a row. It's lining up with the abysmal ratings that we have seen for much of their content. And frankly, if Disney loses the merchandising, this stock, although I'm not giving financial advice, this stock has a very long way to go down if they lose the merchandising. Tommy, I want to give you the last word and then find out where we can find both of you gentlemen on this great, big, beautiful web. Tommy, your final thoughts.
Well, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think it is a sign of concern, and merchandising is always kind of bringing up the rear when it comes to these sorts of things. And it's basically the sign that your house is on fire and you really, like, you can't, at this point, there's not much you can do about it. It's going up in flames. And I think this list, it does also basically affirm what a lot of people have been saying, you included, in the sense that Disney, they have tried this strategy. They have acquired Marvel. They have acquired Star Wars. They've acquired these boy brands in order, well, ostensibly it was to appeal to that market segment, but we've seen that they have instead, essentially kind of feminized them. And the audience for that, the market for that, the customer, the consumer for that is not there. It's just not. And in the process of doing that, they've driven away their core customer as well. So where does that leave them? How do they climb back from this? I mean, gosh, if I knew that, I would be a CEO.
Well,
they are dug in pretty deep at this point, Tommy. I mean, it's crazy too, because, Pro, you talk about this kind of stuff all the time. When it comes to the business practices of such a big company like this, once you can start to see where your profits are coming from and what pressures you can put, sometimes different, emphasis is put on different parts of the business. Like, the parks business has been providing them with a lot of money. It's also been really gouging the customers and not treating the, pass holders very well, and, really dividing the fandom on a small scale while making lots and lots and lots of profits. How much emphasis have they been putting in the high yield of all this merchandising money that is drying up? I'm sure they were planning on this merch crack-a-lackin' for years and years to come. I'm sure this was in all of their financial projections that they showed anybody for how much money that they were going to be making over the next bunch of years. And this past decade of material from the Marvel Universe has slowly been Star Wars never took off. And I mean, you see it, just everything is languishing. They're not the it brand that they once were, and it's terrible because I am the biggest Space Mountain. I love Disney. I worship Walt Disney, and this is just a shame. I can't believe that these people have allowed this to happen to the brand.
But indeed they have. Folks out there, go take a look at the Pareto principle. We'll put a link in the description. If you look at almost any endeavor out in the world, 20% of the participants in almost any endeavor will have 80% of the success. And so if you look at this from a franchise perspective, well, this applies to, you know, the size of trees in a forest. It applies to a vast number of phenomena all across the reality that we live in. But you can apply this to franchises. The top 20% of franchises will have 82.7% of the economic success. And then it gets even more than that. So if you took of the top 20%, if you took the top 20% of that, within that group, they would have 82.7%. So it's an exponential curve. Disney was sitting on a number of top Pareto Principle performers: Princesses, Fab Five, Marvel, Star Wars. The idea that they took those and they killed them is insanity, because the idea that you can recover them is just ludicrous. One thing that's also ludicrous, though, is, folks, if you're not yet subscribed and following Jesse Bla Snider and all his content, Jesse, where can we find you as you climb the Pareto Principle?
Well, you can listen to my podcast. I'm twice a week, every Wednesday when comics come out, and on Saturday mornings I do a cast just you know, from my professional perspective as a writer and the proper way to be adapting all these things and all the stupid mistakes that they're making. But you can also find me on Twitter. I'm Coolest Geek JBS, and you can email me. I'm jesseblaze@jessesnider.com.
Absolutely. And Jesse was also part of the only time we've ever put out a member-exclusive video. And we were interviewing Jesse about the Muppets and his time working on the Muppets. And members of the channel said, Pro, you have to put this out in the public. This is so good that it cannot be a member exclusive. So the only time we've had that happen, Tommy, though, does also a fantastic job interviewing for member exclusive content. And so, folks, if you're not yet a member of the channel, consider it.
In the other video, I see you were shouting me out for some of the things that I said about the toys. I appreciate a fellow toy enthusiast, and nice to make friends.
There you go. All right, folks, it is now time for all of the toy enthusiasts out there to join in the conversation. This is not just a dialogue between three people, but no, this is communications with a community. So drop in, drop a comment, and let us know what's on your mind. We covet your comments. We care about what you think. As you're heading out the door, make sure to click the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?